In a recent video released by TMZ, the rappers are involved in a full-on physical scuffle while on an elevator.
After a certain incident, tensions that were once buried seem to be bubbling back to the surface. Someone made a cryptic statement. "You wanted the gang, you should have just asked for it." At first glance, it might have seemed harmless, but when you connect the dots, it starts to look like the drama between Quavo and Offset has reignited, this time allegedly over Saweetie. The public story is neat and polished. Offset was simply talking about personal growth, cause and effect, and life lessons during a podcast appearance. But the streets have their own version.
I'm a Sagittarius man, right? As a man, it's my birthday. I have to understand what is the cause and effect of some shit. Because you will see a situation 6 months after a situation.
You wanted the gang, you should have just asked for it.
Back to Saweetie, I think he was definitely talking about...
And it's a lot messier. According to online speculation, Offset practically admitted to crossing a deeply personal boundary, one involving the icy ex-girlfriend of his own cousin. Like clockwork, the internet's detectives went to work, spicy lyrics, shady interview moments, and cryptic social media comments. As the puzzle pieces started fitting together, a theory emerged.
I'm a Sagittarius man, right? As a man, it's my birthday. I have to understand what is the cause and effect of some shit.
Perhaps this alleged betrayal wasn't just a scandal. It might have been the crack that finally shattered Migos as a group. This isn't just about coworkers falling out. These men were family, bound by blood as well as music. Normally, there are certain lines you'd expect family to never cross. But if the whispers are true, Offset crossed one that you can't ever walk back from. And according to people close to the situation, Quavo didn't just get upset. He made moves.
If me and Mel are together and I cheat on her and I go get
some
yeah. Or
and then I end up with
somebody that's
Idris.
If those moves were as serious as rumored, then we could be entering an entirely new chapter in the Migos Cold War, one darker, sharper, and pettier than before. A chapter where grudges turn to lyrics, lyrics turn to shade, and shade turns into full-blown beef. The kind of drama that's not just bad and bougie, it's personal, and it's far from over. Offset walked into that Joe Budden interview looking like a man without a care in the world, calm, collected, and radiating that unbothered energy like it was a diamond-studded chain. He gave the impression he was ready for a laid-back conversation. But when the topic shifted to relationships, heartbreak, and whether people cheat up or cheat down, his cool demeanor turned into something far more intriguing.
That I left went up, so I don't know how to explain.
Wanted the gang, you should have just asked for it.
Back to Saweetie, I think he was definitely talking about my said he say on the song, cousin. Gang is referring to Migos, like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody in the gang.
He casually mentioned, "I'm a Sagittarius man. It's my birthday. I have to understand the cause and effect of certain things." Translation for those fluent in celebrity drama, he knows exactly why Cardi B might be out with NFL star Stefon Diggs, because by his own history, he's given her plenty of reasons. Joe Budden, never one to let a messy moment pass, jumped in with examples so spicy they could have been pulled straight from an unfiltered group chat. He laid out a hypothetical. If I'm with someone cheat, then move on to someone new. Especially someone with status, that's a whole different level of betrayal. The examples rolled, and suddenly names were flying. Saweetie, Chrissy and Rock, Ari Fletcher.
We're longer and longer, and at the end of the day, I know what's going on in my house.
Well, and you have no problem picking up a phone and calling to clear the air. But that's why I love that. That's the growth.
You know me. I don't play that. But I'll call you later because I'm on live. I'll tell you all the Tiana later. Bye.
That video game.
Yep.
She had the Crocs deal. She had the McDonald's deal. She had hella deals just coming back to back to back. She had the Brad's thing. She had her own part.
Offset didn't deny, didn't flinch. He just leaned into the idea that if you live your life in public, people are going to see the patterns. You'll see a situation, months later, you'll see another one. He said, almost with a shrug, as if the timelines and headlines were just part of the game. And in that moment, it wasn't just an interview. It felt like he was feeding the streets a breadcrumb trail to connect every rumor, lyric, and shady Instagram story from the past 2 years. When Offset started speaking, it was like he was playing a game of verbal hide and seek. He never outright confirmed anything, but he didn't deny it either. Every pause, every smirk, every carefully chosen word carried a kind of wink-wink energy, like he was telling the audience, "I said what I said," without actually saying it. By the time Joe Budden wrapped up, the vibe had shifted completely.
For being ran through by this nigga brother and homie.
I don't think slur is the right word. Homewrecker. You can say that. You
slut
feel
and
me?
home. And once you are promiscuous after being a wifey, you now lose your reputation. It's now, right? You know, like you're no longer as popping, because right now we all view her as just an outright like whore, slur, right?
Deal with it in real time when you're looking at it. How do you deal with that? You just like, I'm a
human being. You see me say some sometimes. Yeah. You know what I mean? But then I just had to realize it is.
This wasn't just an interview anymore. It felt like a confessional booth. Except the father here was Joe, and Offset was serving sins with a side of swagger. The way he kept things vague but suggestive told you everything you needed to know. If the rumor mill wants to spin, he's not stopping it. And that's exactly when the streets started buzzing. If Offset was comfortable tossing little clues on camera, what was happening off camera? How close were we to Quavo stepping into the picture, literally or metaphorically? Because let's be real, the breakup between Quavo and Saweetie wasn't just a celebrity split, it was a saga. A reality show without the official crew, but with all the drama. There were the infamous elevator scuffles caught on TMZ, the sharp subtweets that could cut glass, and the unforgettable Bentley repossession that had fans glued to their timelines. TMZ even released footage of the two in a heated, physical altercation inside an elevator at a North Hollywood apartment complex. An awkward mix of jewelry, luggage, and tension so thick you could feel it through the screen. And by late 2022,
see a situation 6 months after a situation. You see what I'm saying? You'll see some because it's outside. I'm in a public situation, so you gonna see it when you see it, and then your opinion comes in.
Quavo wasn't just throwing shade online. He was firing lyrical shots that left no doubt about where his feelings stood. Quavo didn't just throw shade. He dumped the whole iced-out Christmas tree on Saweetie in that track with Takeoff. It wasn't subtle. He rapped, "Caresha, please, 'cause she too messy. Please, BFF my dog behind my back, but I ain't stressin'. You wanted the gang, you should have just said it. We would have blessed it." The second that bar hit the internet, hip-hop fans turned into forensic investigators. Twitter threads became evidence boards, Reddit lit up with theories, and YouTube breakdowns dissected every syllable. And every arrow seemed to point toward one man, Offset. See, in that verse, gang isn't just street slang, it's Migos, family, blood. So if Quavo was calling out someone trying to get with the gang, he was hinting at someone inside his own inner circle. That one line suddenly explained the cold shoulders, the split, and why Quavo and Takeoff were moving as a duo, while Offset was left on his own. If the dog was Offset and the gang was Migos, this wasn't petty drama. It was a betrayal you don't fix with a couple of diss tracks. Offset and Quavo aren't just industry peers, they're cousins. And dating a cousin's ex, especially one as high profile as Saweetie, without a blessing, that's a move that hits deeper than business beef. So when whispers started that Offset and Saweetie might have hooked up, it wasn't just messy gossip. It was a direct shot at the Migos brotherhood. And then came the receipts. Before their breakup ever went public, TMZ dropped grainy but explosive elevator footage from a North Hollywood apartment complex. It showed Quavo and Saweetie in a tense physical struggle over what looked like an orange Call of Duty case. He sidestepped a swing. She lunged, and the two wrestled their way into the elevator. It wasn't just a lover's quarrel, it was a moment that confirmed the fracture fans had only guessed at. A shocking video surfaced, showing Quavo and Saweetie inside an elevator during a heated altercation. In the clip, Quavo is seen pulling Saweetie into the elevator, during which she stumbles and falls hard to the floor. She remains on the ground, seemingly hurt, while Quavo does nothing to help her up. At one point, he glances toward the security camera, clearly aware of being recorded, yet still makes no move to assist her. Reports later claimed the incident took place in 2020, just before their highly publicized breakup. fans were disturbed, especially when the footage ended with Quavo exiting the elevator, leaving Saweetie still sitting on the floor, visibly shaken. Weeks later, Saweetie took to social media with a blunt announcement. She was single. She wrote about enduring betrayal and heartbreak, rejecting the false stories being told about her. She hinted at infidelity, saying that expensive gifts don't heal deep wounds, and that love isn't real when shared with others. Instead of issuing an apology, Quavo responded publicly, claiming disappointment in her actions and implying she wasn't the woman he believed her to be. The exchange fueled widespread cheating rumors, with fans dissecting every word. Then came the twist. Stylist Kahlo, also known as Little Miss Obsession, dropped a cryptic message seemingly aimed at Saweetie. You really want to discuss husbands? This mysterious post sent social media into chaos, igniting speculation and drawing even more celebrities into the drama. When Cardi B stepped in to defend Quavo online, at the time still her man, after he'd been hit with weed and gun charges, the internet side-eyed the move hard. "Girl, who exactly are you defending?" was the collective reaction. Quavo didn't directly confirm or deny anything, but his earlier messy bar was already doing the talking for him. For many fans, it wasn't just a breakup line, it was a confession wrapped in a diss, pointing to the real fracture between him and Offset. And that fracture? It came down to one word Quavo himself had rapped about for years: loyalty. The same loyalty fans now say got left bleeding on the elevator floor in that infamous Saweetie video. But if you thought things couldn't get messier, the 2023 Grammys proved otherwise. Minutes before Quavo was set to perform Without You during the In Memoriam tribute to Takeoff, sources backstage claimed he and Offset erupted into a full-on physical altercation. Staff had to separate them before it spilled onto the stage. Reports say Offset wanted to join Quavo for the tribute, but Quavo refused, allegedly blocking him from stepping on stage. That's when tempers exploded. One camp insists Quavo threw the first shove. Offset, meanwhile, jumped on X hours later to shut down the story entirely, posting, "What the F I look like fighting my brother? Y'all are crazy." Fans weren't buying it. They pointed back to Takeoff's funeral months earlier, where the two barely acknowledged each other. No eye contact, no conversation, just a chilling silence between cousins who once ruled rap together. For many, the Grammy night fight rumor wasn't shocking. It was inevitable. During Takeoff's memorial, the tension between Quavo and Offset was impossible to ignore. No interaction, no eye contact, just two men sharing a stage, yet standing worlds apart. Someone on social media summed it up bluntly: "Get your money and stay out of the way, bro. Karma will do justice." Many had hoped that Takeoff's death would heal the rift, but instead, it seemed to underline how deep the cracks truly ran. If grief couldn't bring them back together, maybe this was never just about music at all. When rumors of Offset and Saweetie started swirling, everyone expected Cardi B to leap into the fray with one of her trademark unfiltered clapbacks. But instead, she went completely silent. That silence only made the speculation louder. Fans began to wonder, did she know something the rest of us didn't? It wasn't until her sit-down with Jason Lee that Cardi even brushed the subject. Speaking carefully, she explained that she'd been sorting out the truth privately. "When I entertain something I know isn't true on the internet, people take it as proof just because I addressed it." She neither confirmed nor denied anything, and that strategic restraint became its own headline. To many, it looked like she already knew the full story but refused to feed the blogs. At the end of the day, she said, "I know what's going on in my house." It was a classic chess move. Silence as power. And whether it was meant to protect her marriage or control the narrative, it kept the rumor mill spinning for weeks. Things were bad. Cardi just wasn't about to let the world pick through her dirty laundry. But then came the Oscars after-party tea. Word spread fast that Cardi B and Saweetie had a tense run-in at the Vanity Fair event. According to one eyewitness, the moment Cardi spotted Saweetie, she marched right over and started yelling, "What you gotta say now?" It was loud, raw, and straight out of a reality TV episode. Saweetie, however, didn't match the volume. Instead, she served icy calm, holding her ground without raising her voice, turning the clash into a battle of energy rather than words. To some onlookers, it looked like Cardi was making a scene while Saweetie played it cool. But Cardi later hopped on Instagram Live, chatting on the phone midstream and saying, "You know me? I don't play that. I'll call you later and tell you all the tea." It was equal parts tease and taunt. Not long after, Cardi doubled down on IG Live. this time showing off millions in jewelry, casually tossing out the figure, $25 million on my neck, like it was small talk. Fans took it as confirmation without confirmation, proof that something had gone down, even if the details stayed unspoken. Saweetie, for her part, didn't post rants or clapbacks. She made her own power play with strategic silence. And in a feud like this, sometimes a cold, calculated no comment can sting louder than any diss track. When Saweetie was with Quavo, her brand was untouchable. She was hip-hop's frosty girl, securing a McDonald's celebrity meal, a Crocs collaboration, a Bratz campaign, and even a video game tie-in. Deals were rolling in non-stop, and her image was squeaky clean, polished, and highly marketable. But after the breakup, the headlines started to shift. The first wave was her so-called get your lick back era. Paparazzi shots with Lil Baby, whispers on social media, and speculation that had fans debating whether she was just living her best single life or taking a very pointed shot at Quavo. His camp reportedly saw it as pure disrespect. Fans labeled it city girl energy, and the streets, well, they had their own far less flattering words for it. Her image took a hit. In the ruthless court of public opinion, people went from praising her as a brand queen to questioning her loyalty, her relationships, and ultimately her reputation. The narrative shifted from Saweetie, the business mogul, to Saweetie, the scandal headline. Then things got messier. Chris Brown dropped a line in his track Weakest Link that had everyone raising an eyebrow. You the weakest link out of your clique? You F-ed my ex, but that's cool. I fed your ex when... The implication? That Saweetie had been involved with him while still dating Quavo. Whether it was a direct shot or just rap bravado, it was enough to keep her name buzzing in all the wrong ways. They say revenge is sweet. And in Saweetie's case, the name itself seemed like foreshadowing. She never outright denied Chris Brown's lyrical jab, and when Quavo later clapped back on over O's and B's, she didn't stay quiet. Instead, she fired off her own posts, shared screenshots of alleged DMs, and sent a few thinly veiled shots of her own. But the mess didn't stop there. A blind item soon claimed that Saweetie had gotten into a physical altercation with Quavo's rumored baby mama, Erica Fontaine, after finding out he'd quietly fathered a child with her. All this came after the internet was already buzzing about her alleged fling with Offset. And no matter who else's name got pulled into the drama, Lil Baby, Chris Brown, Erica Fontaine, it all seemed to loop right back into the same tangled orbit: Quavo and Offset. Like it or not, Saweetie's post-Migos era never really belonged solely to her. Every headline, every rumor, every clapback was somehow tied to the two cousins. And that's where the real plot thickened. Because after months of public silence, Offset's sit-down with Joe Budden ripped open old wounds. The way he spoke, it wasn't just about Stefon Diggs or some vague cause and effect lesson. It felt like he was talking about unfinished business. Old history, the kind of stuff you can't clean up with one phone call. I'm a human being, sometimes you just gotta realize it is what it is, he said, almost like he was speaking to someone in particular. DJ Academics wasted no time stirring the pot, claiming on air that Offset had been with Saweetie, Chrissy and Rock, and Ari, women Cardi B herself was supposedly lined up to work with musically. That revelation alone was enough to make fans imagine the inevitable: Quavo and Offset crossing paths somewhere backstage, far from cameras, producers, or Grammy security. No bright lights, no stage, just a closed door, a few words exchanged, and then hands flying before anyone could step in. Because at this point, the feud wasn't about one verse or one rumor. It was about years of unspoken disrespect, about a brotherhood that had gone from diamond to dust, and about a name Saweetie still sitting like a live grenade between them. And with talk of a full Migos reunion now little more than wishful thinking, it's clear the only duo these two cousins are interested in is throwing jabs at each other. We stand on loyalty, Quavo said firmly. Real deal loyalty, and sometimes that just ain't displayed. He made it clear this wasn't about labels, paperwork, or quality control records. It was about principles. At this point, though, even insiders admit it would take a miracle to fix things. The Cold War between the two cousins feels locked in place, with neither man willing to make the first move toward peace. That silence leaves the streets, the blogs, and the fans to fill in the blanks themselves. So the questions linger. Did Offset just poke the bear with that interview? Or is Quavo still nursing a grudge he'll never let go of? And if the root of all this really is Saweetie, was she ever worth the wreckage she left behind? Two men who once called themselves brothers now walk separate paths, their bond reduced to headlines and half-truths. And Saweetie, she's still the center of the storm, whether she wants to be or not.